तेरी लीला प्रभु हे न्यारी Welcome to Satsang. Let's close our eyes and spend a few minutes in meditation together. Allow the eyes to close gently. And allow all of the senses, the focus, the attention, allow it all to pull from the outer world to the inner world. Feel the energy of intention pulling that awareness from the world outside to the world inside. Draw the awareness to the breath. And allow the awareness, the focus, to merge with the breath. There will always be sounds in the outer world. There will always be thoughts and distractions. But allow yourself to use that inner power of attention and intention to pull the focus inward. Allow the attention to merge with the breath in such a way that it begins with you watching the breath. Then it becomes you as the breath. And then it becomes just a state of experience. Just a state of awareness. Just a state of consciousness watching itself. And then a state of just consciousness. But you have to keep pulling that awareness inward. This is the moment. Allow the awareness to happen. If you find that the mind wanders, allow it to chant gently the mantra of so hum. It means I am that. I am one with the Creator and the creation. I am one with all that exists. Allow your awareness to drop so deeply inward that it merges first with the breath, and then with the universe from which the breath came, and into which the breath will go. If the mind wanders, just remember to keep it focused on chanting that mantra. So, on the inhalations, hum on the exhalations. And keep drawing the awareness back into the self, into the breath. Gently bring the palms of your hands together and rub the palms of your hands gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And slowly open your eyes and lower the hands. So we'll start as always with a question that's come in advance, and then open it up to any questions that anyone here has. When co-creating our lives with the universe, how do we know what's our responsibility and what we can leave up to the universe? If it's something you can control, assume that it's something you're supposed to control. The universe is very smart. All of the aspects of nature only do their part. So the rivers give us water, the fruit trees give us fruit, the sun gives us light and warmth, the rain gives us water. Right? All of the different aspects of nature give us what they have, what they can do. The river can't give you apples. The rain can't give you carrots or cucumbers. Cucumber plant can't give you water. Everything has its scope, its jurisdiction, you could call it. That over which it has control, it can do. And it's supposed to do it fully. Similarly with us, when we talk about co-creating our lives with the universe, the co in co-creation, the fact that it's not all up to me, is rooted in the fact that there's a lot that we don't have control over. And so, for example, you don't have any control over your past karma. You cannot rewind history. You cannot undo what you've done in the past. You have no control over that. It is what it is. Number two, you have no control over the laws of nature. No matter how much you want to fly, this law of gravity is just going to keep you anchored to the earth. You walk off a building, you're going to fall down. No amount of visualizing wings or meditation on wings is going to make you walk off a building and fly across your garden. You're going to fall. Laws of gravity. The end of the summer. You can scream and yell all you want as kids, oh my God, when the summer was ending and it was school, it was like, no, 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 no. But of course, the autumn doesn't listen to school kids yelling, no, no, no. It comes. You can wear your bikini into December, but the snow is still going to fall. The universe is not going to say, oh, well, she's still in a bikini, so I guess we have to hold off that snowstorm. until she agrees that it's okay for winter to arise. Laws of nature. The only thing that'll happen with you continuing to wear your bikini into December is you'll get pneumonia if you live somewhere it snows. So that co-create understands there's a lot we don't have control over. We also don't have control over anyone else's actions, anyone else's thoughts, anyone else's karmic package. No matter how much we want to control others, even from the most benevolent, well-meaning, because of course we always think we're well-meaning place. Nobody ever says, well, you know, it's just my ego that really wants you to act a certain way. We always tell ourselves, it's because it's the right way. It's because I want this for you. It's for the benefit of you. But even in situations where it is, you still can't control anyone else's thoughts, anyone else's karmic package. So there's a lot in the universe we have no control over. But that doesn't mean we're victims. When we talk about co-creating, it means whatever I have, my skills, my abilities, my mind, my sadhana, that which I can use, I am supposed to use it. Everything that we can make happen is our responsibility. So that's how you know. Somebody falls down in front of you. Somebody you don't know, you're walking down the street, somebody falls. Well, you could say you had no control over it. You didn't touch the guy, automatically he fell, he tripped, whatever, you don't even know him. Okay. But you can reach down and give a hand and help him up. Changing his karmic package that brought him to that moment, preventing him from falling, which you didn't have any way of knowing, not in your hands. But helping him up once he has fallen, well, we have that capacity. That means it's our responsibility. Sometimes people come and say to Pujya Swamiji, you know, why do you worry so much about helping poor people or helping homeless people or helping children or helping all these people? Why do you worry so much? I mean, it's just their karma to be like that, isn't it? And he always says, it absolutely may be their karma to be poor or to be sick or to be orphaned or to be the victims of a natural disaster. But it's our karma, our karmic package, that we've been given the ability to help them, and it is our dharma to do so. And so that's really how you know. It's a very simple measuring stick. Do I have the ability? Do I have the capacity? Do I have any control? Is there anything I can do about that situation? If yes, you're supposed to do it. Not with a sense of I'm here to fix it. Not in a sense of it's a problem, I'm the solution. But with simply the awareness that we are all threads in a tapestry of life. And our thread weaves in and through and intersects with so many of the other threads. And you pull one thread, and a lot of the tapestry starts to unravel. You pull one thread, and maybe from far away you can't tell, but you get close enough, and you can see. So whatever we have the ability to do, we are supposed to. There's a beautiful teaching that says the only thing missing from any situation is what you are not giving to that situation. And so if there's a situation that you're in that makes you feel like something is missing, ask yourself, what is it I'm not giving to that situation? So we do what we can do, and then again, as Pujya Swamiji says so beautifully, he says we do our best, and then we leave the rest to God. Because the outcome is never in our hands. You can plant the seed, you can water it, you can shine the sun on it, you can do everything. But the outcome is not in our hands. I can help the guy up. And as soon as he turns a corner and I turn a different corner, he can fall again. I don't have control over that. I can plant the seed. I can't make it sprout. So we do whatever we have the capacity to do, whatever we have the ability to do, with an awareness that that's what we're here for. We're here to serve as vessels, vehicles of the divine flow. As the river bed is the land through which Ganga flows, so that she can irrigate everybody's farms and lives, so we are that vessel, that vehicle, that tool, that riverbed, whatever metaphor, analogy works for you. We are that through which that divine flow flows. And a riverbed that's full of rocks or full of silt doesn't make a very good riverbed for a river to flow through. It's already full. And so for us, the goal becomes, how do I make myself the best tool I can be? And that becomes our task. So, I frequently talk about the microphone and how the microphone is just a tool. I'm speaking. The microphone is neither the one who's giving a great talk or a horrible talk, neither the one who should stand up and take a bow at the end, that it was so great, or the one who should feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. The mic understands it's just a tool. But in the same way, we are all tools of that divine. And so just as ridiculous as it would be for the mic to think, oh, I gave a great talk, or oh, that was a horrible talk, or either way, in the same way, it's just as ridiculous for any of us speaking into mics to think that, because we are also just tools. And it matters what type of tool you are. With this little one, you can't tell so well, but the mics that they were using for Kirtan, normal mics, you could have a fantastic mic. You could have a beautiful, expensive, top-of-the-line mic. But if you leave it out in the rain, in the dust storm, and it gets full of water and dirt and dust, regardless of how top quality the mic may be, regardless of how brilliant the speaker may be, the mic's not going to be able to do its job because it's waterlogged. It's full of dust. And so you could say the mic's only responsibility is to make sure two things. Number one, it's clear and it's clean. And number two, that it's plugged in. And in the same way, that's what our responsibility is. Only two things. Make sure that we are clear and clean, vessels for that will to flow, that it's not about, but this is what I want, but that's what I want, but this is what I... No. Let thy will be done. Let me be, as St. Francis of Assisi said so beautifully, let me be an instrument of thy mercy. An instrument. An instrument of mercy. And let's make sure we're plugged in. Because no matter how beautiful or expensive or high quality the mic, even if it's clean and pure and empty, if it's not plugged in, even these wireless ones are plugged in somewhere. Like it's wireless here, but it's plugged in back there. It's getting its electricity. It's got to be plugged in. And in the same way for us, if we're not connected to the divine, to that source, everything else is connected to a power socket. It's getting its electricity from the power grid, the powerhouse. Well, in the same way, we need to make sure we're connected to the divine, whatever that means for us. There's no right way or wrong way. Whatever that means for us, whatever that source of divine flow is in our lives, we have to make sure we're connected to it. Because none of us can do or be anything in a vacuum. We're connected. We're connected to the universe. And so we have to stay connected with an awareness of connection. If we do those two things, and all of that we have the ability to do, the universe will take care of the rest. The universe knows what it's supposed to do. We just need to take care of what we're supposed to do. So I'm happy to open it up to any questions that anyone here may have. Yes.
Hi. Firstly, apologies if I'm out of line.
Nothing is out of line. Don't worry. I always say, not every night, but frequently, there's no such thing as a silly question or a wrong question or an out of line question. If it's important to you, it's the right question.
I just don't know how this path moves. So it's my first day here, so I'm
That's
just
okay.
going to ask you a question.
Sure.
Regarding spirituality, what do you think is the end goal? Like, what's your end goal? What's my end goal? Like,
Okay.
I've followed a path. I know my family follows a path. The end goal there is salvation, of not coming in the cycle of life and death. So what do you think? What's your take on that?
So his question, what's the end goal of a spiritual path? Like, family believes that the end goal is moksha, liberation. What do I think? Well, here's what I would say. It's not so much about what I think. I'm not here to give you a goal. It doesn't work anyway. If I'm your teacher in school and you really love me, or you're really afraid of me, either way will work. I can get you to do what I want, right? If I say to you, I expect you to come in with 100% on your math homework tomorrow morning. Either great love of me or great fear of me, one or the other, will make you stay up all night long studying math so that you can come in and do well on the exam. But that's not enough to keep you motivated for your life. At some point, that power that I yield over you, that I wield over you, will dissipate. I can only get you to stay up all night studying math because it's what I want of you for so long. Eventually, even if you love me, or even if you're afraid of me, eventually, you're going to stop being able to muster the inner will to stay up all night and study math if you don't care about math. You can only go for so long in life doing something that matters to someone else, not you. And so really what matters is, what's your end goal? Because if my agenda is you should get up in the morning and meditate, and you should be on a spiritual path, well, that needs to give you a goal that matters to you. You may get up for me for a week, but you're not going to get up in the morning every day for me for the rest of your life. That's got to be something that matters to you. So what's your end goal? Yeah.
I'd say permanent happiness.
Permanent happiness. Great. Anybody else want permanent happiness? Yeah, right? Good. Unanimous goal. We'll start there. It matters because there's a lot of pulls on our time and energy. Lots of people saying, you should have this, you should have that. We were talking about this last night, right? If your ultimate goal is to make a lot of money, well, that's what you're going to do all day long. That's what's going to drag you out of bed in the morning. It's got to be something you want. So if salvation or liberation or enlightenment seems way too kind of out there and not here enough for you to get you out of bed in the morning, to get you to make different decisions in your life, no problem. Let's choose something that will. Permanent happiness. Great. Okay, so what makes you happy now?
What makes me happy now?
Mm-hmm.
I think I try to be happy in whatever situation it is, but I think, and I believe in the theory that there is no permanent happiness on earth.
You can't dedicate your life to something that you've already decided you believe doesn't exist.
Like everything is transient.
That's setting yourself up for failure. My ultimate goal is permanent happiness. But I already at this young age have a deep belief that permanent happiness doesn't exist.
Because everything is transient. If I say I love this person,
Mm-hmm.
that person might not be here the next day. So
Great.
what is permanent?
Wonderful. Okay, so do you still want permanent happiness?
Yeah, I do.
Good. Well, we have to, I mean, there has to at least be the possibility.
I want, but I'm not sure.
Fantastic, fantastic, great. So bear with me then. What brings you happiness now? Temporary happiness. What brings you happiness in your life?
In my life,
Mhm.
love.
Great. What else? Other people can join in too. What brings you happiness in life? Since we all unanimously want it, what brings us happiness, even if it's temporary? What brings us happiness? Love. What else? Money. Well, okay, hang on. Stick with money. Who said money? Great, no problem. This is a embarrassment-free zone. What about money makes you happy?
I can get something that gives me happiness.
Okay.
In exchange of money.
Okay, like what?
I don't want to go to office. I just want for money. I don't want to do something.
No, hang on.
Yeah.
You have money. You're about to buy happiness, right? That's the point. I want money so I can buy something that makes me happy.
Yes.
What are you going to buy?
All the basic. First, I want to buy the basic necessities in life,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe like a house, and maybe like traveling.
Okay, great. So he's touched upon one important point that I won't go into too much here, but it's worth mentioning. There is what we speak about as a hierarchy of needs. Now, It is not 100%, meaning there are absolutely cases and stories of impoverished sages own nothing and are in bliss, but we're going to call them the exception rather than the rule. For most people, in order to be able to dedicate ourselves to a practice searching for permanent happiness, I have to at least have my basic needs met. I need to know where my next meal is going to come from. I need to know that there's a roof over my head tonight. So we need basic needs, okay? And again, there's a whole philosophy about this. I'm not going to go into it here. But you've made an important point. So before we can talk about permanent happiness, because a house does not bring me permanent happiness, traveling doesn't bring me permanent happiness, but these are important aspects on the foundation. A house because it's security, and traveling. Let's go deep for just a moment. What is it that gives us so much happiness about travel? Think for a moment.
The scenery.
Scenery is beautiful, but you could watch it online. New experiences. Mm-hmm.
We have to live.
Connection.
We have to leave every place without getting stuck in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then breaking the routine.
Change of routine. Great.
Understanding other cultures.
Mm-hmm. Connection. Absolutely. Absolutely. Broadening us. Great. What about freedom? What about freedom? Travel gives us. We get to decide all of that which you've just said. I get to go and have new experiences. I get to get beautiful scenery. I can do all of the things because I'm in charge. I get to decide where I'm going. That's what we love about travel. I can decide I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to sleep here, I'm going to eat here. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. The joy of travel, the joy of each individual place eventually dissipates, which is when we decide, oh, I'm going to move on. The permanent joy is the joy of freedom. Money gives us that same joy. It's not the things I buy that give me the happiness. The reason that so many people think money gives me happiness is, and if we were sitting here for, 3 hours instead of 45 minutes, and if I brought you up and I sort of took you through step by step, and then why would you be happy? Then why would you be happy? Then what do you want? At the core, what we would get is that money gives you freedom. With money, you get to decide what you do, what you want, what you're going to have. So sure, you have the freedom to buy things you think are going to make you happy, then you realize they don't make you happy, then you travel, then you do something else. But money is freedom. Okay, so love, things that bring us happiness, love, freedom, connection, I'm sorry? Health, absolutely. Absolutely, having a healthy body. Great, okay. Now, back to the end goal of our spiritual practice. End goal of life. If I'm going to have permanent happiness, well, chances are the same things that bring me permanent happiness are going to be the same things that bring me temporary happiness, but just on a deeper level. Temporary happiness, love, freedom, connection. I'm not talking the really short temporary like a pizza or an ice cream. We all know that's at a completely different level than permanent happiness. So we're just going to skip over that. but we get to our temporary levels of happiness. Well, that's the same that brings me permanent happiness. Love, freedom, connection. The issue is, as you said so beautifully, love brings me happiness, but I love someone, they're going to die. Money brings me happiness, but eventually it's going to end. Travel brings me happiness, but eventually you have to stop traveling. All these things I love, they're going to end. So how can I have permanent happiness? By experiencing those things through ways that don't end. So yes, your love of a being, that relationship will end. The love doesn't have to end. Either that person will leave you or die, or you will leave them or die. It's how every relationship ends. Either one of you leaves the other or one of you dies. But love doesn't have to end. Connection, freedom. This is the cornerstone of permanent happiness. But if it's going to be permanent, it has to be rooted in something that is permanent. The people in our lives are not permanent. The money in our bank account is not permanent. The experience I'm having in this moment is not permanent. So what can I have that's permanent? A spiritual connection. That spiritual connection, that love of God, that love of God in all of the creation, that's permanent. Even if you were loving God through someone you loved and that person died, well, the object is over, but the love isn't. If that person stands up and walks out of the room and goes to the drugstore down the street, do you feel love any less? If that person gets on a plane and flies to California, do you feel love any less?
But mostly love becomes hate very quickly.
All right. Hold that thought. Let's come back to that. We will come back to that. For right now, you're still in the state of love. They get on a plane, they fly to California. Do you love them any less? So that love is not contingent upon their physical presence. The love is within you. Okay? The warmth that you get from somebody else's body, you have to be touching them to feel it, or very, very close. Get on opposite ends of the bed, you no longer feel the warmth. Get in different beds, you definitely don't feel the warmth. Go to sleep in different countries, you don't feel the warmth. But the love is within you. Which means that if the love is love of the divine in them, not love of what they do, not love of what they say, not love of just their physical body, you have the ability to hold that forever. That connection that we experience with others, with nature, this is why scenery is so beautiful and why we like to experience it firsthand rather than just see it on our computers. When we are in nature, it connects us to the divine. As we meet new people and we learn about new people, it expands our sense of self. It expands our sense of who we are. It expands our sense of usness, right? Us used to just be me and like 3 people in my house. Then I travel. Now my us is bigger. But ultimately, us is everything. Ultimately, self is everything. that expansion of the self, or rather that awareness of the expansiveness of the self, is the way into permanent happiness. And it gives us freedom. If you don't have freedom, you cannot be happy. Let's say, okay, raise your hand if you are happy to be sitting in this room right now. Well, that's nice. Good, thank you. Okay, unanimous. But now imagine that I say to you, close and lock those doors. Nobody's leaving here. Anybody still going to be happy about being in this room? Well, that's sweet. That's sweet. Not the right answer, but still sweet. So, if I say to you, these doors are locked, you're never leaving here, that happiness very, very quickly starts to dissipate. I love being in this ashram. If somebody said, you can never step foot out, on a very deep level, actually, I would be happy, but it would take a while to work my mind through that one, because for the simple reason that that loss of freedom steals our happiness. You're happy to sit here because you know you're free to stand up and leave the moment you want to if you're not happy. But the minute I say to you, you are not free to leave, suddenly what starts working in everybody's mind is, oh my God, how am I going to get out of here? If you want permanent happiness, you have to have permanent freedom. And the only way to have permanent freedom is through a spiritual practice. Because the only thing that actually binds us is our own minds. There's a beautiful teaching in the scriptures that says, Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. And it means the mind is the key. Only the mind. The mind is the determinant of whether you are stuck or you have moksha, ultimate freedom. So the mind is what binds us, which means that the freedom, the ultimate freedom needed for permanent happiness is freedom in your own mind. And what are those chains that bind us in our own mind? Our desires, our expectations, our egos, our grudges, our attachments, our pain, all of this stuff. That's what binds us. So the ultimate goal of a spiritual practice is freedom. And if you say to me that your ultimate goal of life is permanent happiness, I say to you, well, for that, you need freedom. That's why we embark on a spiritual path. I don't believe we need salvation. I don't think we need to be saved. I don't feel unsafe. I don't feel in danger. But we're stuck. We need to be freed and liberated from the confines of our own mind. It's not so much about saving us. Saving implies that they're sort of two different things. But it's all my mind. It's made me stuck. It's not making me unsafe. I don't need you to save me, but I need to free myself. Good.
It's not about being unsafe, it's more about being one with source.
Exactly, one with source, exactly. So but in order to be one with source, I have to let go of that which I'm already one with. If I'm one with my small ego, my small identity, if I'm one with my grudges, if I'm one with my attachments, I can't possibly be one with Source. Source is infinite. And I cannot move through the world simultaneously feeling infinite and feeling not enough and lacking at the same time. And so if I'm moving through the world with an identity that says, oh, I'm not thin enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not successful enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not funny enough, I'm not popular enough, I cannot simultaneously be moving through the world as infinity, as Source. So I have to first unstuck myself from all of that in order to be one with Source. So that's the liberation. Lastly, let's go back to this love that becomes hate. That's because we're stuck. If it becomes hate, it was never love. Love is expansive. Love is me merging into you. Attachment, addiction, passion, dysfunction is you fill my holes. With you, I feel whole. Without you, I don't. The way you treat me, the way you speak to me, the way I feel with you makes me feel whole. It's a beautiful recipe for disaster. It's a very, very luxurious path to misery. Because it makes both of you stuck in continuing to be and behave and speak exactly the way you are in this moment, because any slight change no longer fills the other one. And this is where love turns to hate. When we met, you told me I was your everything. You told me I was beautiful. You told me I was the best. You told me I was so important to you. You told me all of that, and I felt full. Now we go to a wedding, and you are looking at that other lady, and I get you to admit that, yeah, you were attracted to her. I don't feel full anymore. I hate you. Because that hole is now gaping in me. And it hurts even more than it did before I met you, because you had filled it so nicely that now when we ripped it out, it's like a gaping wound in me now. You told me that everything I did was perfect and wonderful. And now you didn't touch your dinner because there wasn't enough salt in it. And you told me that it was really bad. I hate you. How dare you? Right? You see how this happens? This was not, I loved you, now I hate you. This was, I walked into this relationship full of holes. You filled those holes. You gave me a very beautiful, but very precarious experience of fullness. Because that experience of fullness was like, it's like somebody sticking their finger in a dam. Well, you're only safe as long as the person's finger is still in the dam. The minute that person has to turn around and go to the bathroom or scratch their ear, or pick their nose or do something with that finger, the dam bursts. So it's a very tenuous safety. And this is what most of our relationships look like. And this is why when people change, love goes to hate. It's not that I hate you. It's that because of you, I am now face to face with these gaping wounds in me. And I'm furious at you because you had lured me into believing that I was never going to have to face them again. You had given me this false sense, but so beautiful sense of fullness, that for a brief moment in time, I was unaware of my unhealed self. And it was gorgeous. And now here I am again, face to face with my unhealed self. And it's your fault. Because if you loved me, you would keep your finger in that hole. And even if it meant you never went to the bathroom and you never itched your ear and you never picked your nose, you would do it if you loved me. And since you don't, I hate you. And that's what happens. But it's easy to see, of course, in this situation, that there never was love. There was need. There was holes and pegs, and they fit in nicely together. For love to really be love that takes us to the ultimate goal of permanent happiness, it cannot be rooted in you filling my holes. Because it can also go the other way. I had a hole that I felt not beautiful. You made me feel beautiful. But then I do my own work. I start meditating. I go to therapy. I realize I'm full and whole and complete and beautiful on the inside, and it no longer matters what shade my skin is. And then I realize, oh, I don't actually like you so much. But it had just felt really good temporarily to feel beautiful, but I no longer need that. And now I'm not interested in you. And then you turn around and you say, I hate you. Right? Because I loved you, or I pretended I loved you. I thought I loved you. You certainly thought you loved me. Maybe you really did love me. Maybe that's why you told me I was beautiful, even if I was hideous. But because I was only loving you due to that hole in me, if I'm going to stay in love with you forever, it means I have to stay with that hole in me forever. Love based on that means no one can actually heal themselves. Because to heal myself is a threat to our relationship. And that is not love. That is dependency. I mean, it's all sorts of things. But it isn't love. And so real love is rooted in a wholeness of me, really loves expanding further into the infinite with you. That's what our relationships give us, is the ability to expand further through the other being, because each of us is a reflection of the divine, an embodiment of the divine. And if you can really love another being in that way, then through that being, you have the potential, the possibility to experience loving God, to experience loving the universe. But you have to go into it whole. Because otherwise, you can't let go and expand. Otherwise, you're contracted. So in order to find the permanent happiness or even the temporary happiness that exists in love, you still need to have your spiritual practice. You still need that freedom, because only that gives you the wholeness. Only that makes you free of your mind, which is what's creating the experience of holes in you. So even if your goal is only temporary happiness, through love, if you're going to experience real love, you can only do that when you have a real experience of yourself. And you enter love like that. Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. And we'll see you all tomorrow.